Fracture has been by far the most interesting map ever added to Valorant. For some players, it's a breath of fresh air, while for others, it's a dodge on sight. That's why today, we're going to help you demystify this map and make it a pocket pick. What's going on, ProGuides family? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today, we'll be bringing you a full breakdown of how to play Fracture. Fracture is an unintuitive map that breaks a lot of preconceptions of how we play. And that's why with this guide, I hope you'll get a better idea of what the top teams are doing, their team comps for the map, as well as a general idea of how you should approach in-game. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't, and also come visit our website ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal coaches are more than happy to help you level up your gameplay and teach you the skills you need to reach the highest ranks. The link is in the description, and now let's jump right into it. Fracture has a really unique layout where the attackers have two spawns and many routes for attack. Let's take a look at what makes Fracture so unique. First off, most FPS games map designs are made with the mindset that attackers and defenders are separated on two sides, and both sides would fight over the neutral zones that typically lead directly to site entrances or mid-map control. But in the case of Fracture, this tradition is smashed due to having the defenders spawn in the middle, while the attackers have two separate spawns. These spawns are connected by two single-directional zip lines that enable almost instant rotation between the two positions. Not only do the zip lines act as a connector for the attackers to use safely, they also provide an escape route for any defender aggression. Here you can see Optic doing exactly that to escape aggression from Arcade into their spawn. Additionally, another unique aspect about Fracture is that there are 4 orbs as opposed to the usual 2, with some situated more for defenders while the others are attacker-sided. But overall, this is usually a bit more attacker-sided, because the defenders will typically have a harder time contesting the orbs, since they would have to spread more of their defenses to do so, while the attackers can strategically pick up orbs for their ultimates with little risk. These factors all contribute to why Fracture feels so much more attacker-sided in your ranked games. But of course, this is just a basic idea of what makes the map unique, which doesn't say too much about how to play it properly. Okay, so before diving into the meta agent picks for Fracture, let's first go over the question of the day. Today's question is, what are your thoughts on Riot innovating with the new maps? In my opinion, I really like the idea that Riot is open to reworking maps that may have been a little bit problematic in the past. All Valorant maps are made with the best intentions in mind, but that doesn't mean that sometimes there can be little things about the map that can be tweaked to make them better. In my personal opinion, I really like what they changed about Icebox in its mini rework. It made attacking the B site a little less frustrating. Let us know what your thoughts are about innovating with the new maps in the comment section down below. Now, let's get right back into the video. Now, it's no secret that agent comps on Fracture are constantly being experimented with, and changed in almost every high-level game. From Optic running Neon as their primary duelist to some pro matches having 10 different agents in the game. It's more about the fundamentals of playing the map and how your team decides on a strategy. There is no perfect comp for this map, but we are going to go over every role and how pros are playing their agent picks. When it comes to the duelist role, Fracture has come to see the most diversity in agent picks. But since Fracture has some of the most compact sites in the game, teams like Optic and Zeta have been picking Neon and Raze to be their main duelists. After considering what these characters bring to the table, it's easy to see why they might provide the most impact with their kit. Raze's nade and ultimate is the perfect util for not only attacking to help clear the site, but also on defense for retaking or holding the choke points. While Neon, on the other hand, has her stuns and wall, which can single-handedly cover all the sites when placed correctly. Here you can see Optic taking advantage of Neon's utility to ensure a favorable site take. The problem with substituting Jet with a different duelist is that you lose the power the AWP provides, which is why many teams will pick Chamber in order to maintain that threat of the AWP. It's a common theme that agents with very suppressive util are favored on Fracture, so teams have more options to work the map. The Sentinel position is mainly contested by 2 agents more than any others, those 2 agents being Cypher and Chamber, dependent on how the team is trying to play the map. Teams that choose Cypher usually opt into Jet and play on-site defense. Cypher is a fantastic pick since not only does he have 2 trips to keep tabs on both sides of B site, his camera is perfect for watching a whole bomb site. Teams picking Cypher mainly revolved around playing on site trying to win the round before the bomb was planted. So you will see team comps with Cyphers also taking advantage of the other agents with utility designed to stop pushes and hold their ground like Viper, Sage, and even Astra. Chamber might not be as good to stop pushes if he's not armed with his ultimate, but he does provide map-wide information and a lot more aggressive options. The main difference when picking Chamber is his ability to fight the initial site taken by attackers, then reposition in order to help with his team's retake. Sites on Fracture are pretty hard to hold, and that also translates to it being hard to defend against a retake. So this playstyle of getting 1 kill followed by a TP out saw much more success in this recent VCT tournament. Chamber's ability to AWP additionally allows teams to select other duelists than Jet for their util, like Raze or Neon. Breach and KO both saw the most play on Fracture by pro players in the past VCT, and the reasons for this are easy to see. KO's knife is perfect for not only collecting information, but suppressing most of B site and all of A site. His molly denies much needed space for defenders on site to be productive in their positions and stop the site from executing in their tracks. At the same time, his flashes are built for enabling his team on defense and offense. Breach is the same story, but he is the king of the initiators for good reason. Apart from Breach's flashes, his stun and his ultimate are hands down the most oppressive combo in the game when it comes to Fracture. Since the bomb sites are so small, his stun easily covers half of both sites while his ultimate leaves defenders in shambles of what they are trying to play on site. This clip perfectly illustrates how Trent is able to completely isolate the solo player on site with his ultimate while defending trying to play from Gen and Canteen, leaving KO an easy target for his team flying out onto site. His Aftershock is the optimal counter for Killjoy's ultimate on Fracture, which explains why she quickly fell out of the meta on Fracture. Breach is all-purpose, whether you're trying to play a retake strategy, hold your ground on site, or overwhelm defenders with a fast push. Since the map is designed to be hard to defend from attacker splits, controlling Fracture is no easy task, which is why the agent picks differ so vastly depending on teams. The controller pick is mainly based on the strategy the team wants to adopt if they are going to play on-site or off-site. Agents like Viper and even Astra are chosen mainly for on-site tactics. Their kits are perfect and can be piloted as a Sentinel and controller hybrid. For Viper, her wall, ultimate, and molly serve as a strong deterrent for attackers to execute her sight. She serves an equally amazing ability to cut off sight lines when attacking. However, once her wall is placed, her team options are typically limited. Astra's star combinations in close quarters can be deadly and unplayable for the other team when combined with breaches or Raze's util. But after all is said and done, it's actually not Viper or Astra, but Brimstone that's the most picked agent in the controller role. And that's due to his execution speeds paired with the initiator's strong off-site strategies. On attacking and defending, Brimstone provides not only smokes, but his molly and ultimate are king for making space and holding the bomb plant. Meanwhile, his stim beacon is great for approaching sites quickly and takes space before the enemies have time to react. Now that we've visited each role and covered their specific strengths and picks, let's talk about the bomb sites and how to correctly play the map. Defending on Fracture is a tall task for any team. The attackers have the ability to pressure both sides from either side, making split takes on either side hard to deal with. Additionally, the defenders run into problems applying pressure in the neutral zones without weakening their sights. This is why many teams are opting to play on-site but not die on-site. When the pressure is becoming too much, many teams play retake since their sights are so compact and difficult to hold from a split. Defending A-site can be done in a multitude of ways depending on your playstyle. If you play a character like Viper or Cypher, it's best you play on-site and use your util whenever possible. Meaning, if the enemy team has a Brim or a Breach ult, you want to try and play off-site if possible. Your job is to try and eliminate at least 2 of the enemy team before dying on site. The other option is to play off-site and to fight A main with the teammate and play retake after the site is taken. In this clip, you can see how Chamber plays on site holding a dish. He gets a pick and TPs out to play retake with his team. This has been the adopted strat for most high-level teams to dodge out the attacker's util. Most teams don't fight for dish control since it's not the greatest position for attackers to play post-plant. You will see teams do the most trying to fight in A main and passively hold dishes. A main is awesome for defenders to flash and stun to catch enemies off guard using the door to surprise attackers. Playing retake on A is fairly simple and relies mainly on accelerated utility usage. Smoking off dish completely takes any dish players out of the round since they would need to jump out of a smoke to impact the site. Use whatever utility you have remaining to stun, flash A main and site. A site is small, so it doesn't take much utility to completely immobilize enemies playing there. Most, if not all, fighting is going to take place in A main, where it's a good idea to send 2 members through the opening door to pinch attackers trying to play off the bomb in A main. Be careful with pushing onto site when you know the enemy has abilities like Breach, Brim, or Raze ultimate. If those abilities are available, you might want to fight in A main before trying to defuse the bomb. The B site is the biggest of the two, and it is essentially the harder of the two to defend. If you are planning on playing on site, you want to make sure that you can focus all of your utility on B main and have a teammate keep an eye on Arcade for you. They can either play in the tower or watch the cross from Gen or Canteen. There are multiple angles attackers need to clear when they reach the top of the staircase on B, so that's where you should look to place your utility and take fights. Tower control is extremely important to maintain as a defender since it's a difficult area for attackers to clear without the proper utility. So be careful playing tower if they have ultimates that can clear you out of that position. Either have a teammate help you fight for arcade space or try playing off-site until the attacker utility is expended. If your team is opting to play retake on B, it's crucial to make planting the bomb as hard for the enemy as possible. Using mollies, breach stuns, or astral pulls is a wonderful way to deny or even pick off bomb planters trying to stick the plant on B. Once the bomb is down and you have an advantage, play wise. You want to either smoke B main or arcade to deny the attacker crossfires, and then the next focus is clearing out the back cubby on site. Any form of utility is perfect for setting your team up for advantageous fights in that position. Once the site is cleared, the last hurdle is the tower. You can always just smoke off tower while you try to defuse, but you need to be careful for attackers pop flashing or util dumping the site after the bomb is tapped. To avoid this, your team can fight for tower control before the bomb is defused. Attacking on Fracture can be a breeze if the enemy team is uncoordinated, and if played correctly can have them surrendering by round 4. The most important aspect of attacking on Fracture is making sure you are using both spawns every round to apply pressure everywhere on the map. If you fail to pressure even one side of the map, the defending team can take advantage of this. If you are planning on attacking A, try to send at least 2 players to dish, but make sure not to send the bomb dish, while the remaining players then take control of A main. Attacking B is much of the same story, except if you expect the defenders to make an aggressive play, you can have all 5 of your team members on one side to combat the aggression. Then your team can split up using the underground to continue to pressure from both main and arcade. Before attempting to take a site, make sure you use as many abilities as possible that gain you information or take space away from the defenders. Executing a take on A site differs depending on what abilities you have at your disposal. You can do a traditional A site take with 2 players taking the dish position and 3 in A main, having one member trip and hold the door for defender aggression while the rest of your team pinches the defenders on site. Optimal smokes would be for CT, sand, and heaven for your team to safely take the site. This site is the easiest if you have the site clearing abilities like Breach, Brim, or Raise Ultimate to help you ensure a trade. If you don't have the abilities necessary to safely clear a site, you can run an A take through the door to sand and only smoke CT and heaven. That way, you can have members of your team collapse on the site from 3 different angles. Post plant on A is mainly played depending on where the bomb is planted. If the bomb is planted default, you're gonna need to play on site or have abilities that can stop the defuse from going through. The better places to plant would be on the open corner closer to A main and in the back corner of the site facing A main. Planting the bomb on the corner turns the dish position into a much more useful one since they will have the vision of bomb and are able to spam through the smokes. Playing post plant with the bomb planted in the far corner is the best case scenario if it's too dangerous to plant out in the open. Your team can play an A main, then spam anyone trying to defuse if you are smoked off. Not to mention how much easier it is to land mollies on top of the bomb since it's in a corner. If your team decides on attacking B site, there are some key positions you need to take care of in order to ensure a successful round. Number 1 is tower. It's impossible to plant the bomb or have a successful hold if the enemy team has tower control. So make sure you have some sort of utility like Brim or Breach Ultimate to clear it out instead of having teammates apply pressure from arcade while you push up from B main. Attacking the B site from both arcade and main is the best way to ensure a successful site take. Smoking off CT and canteen are the best smokes to deny defenders from receiving help from their rotators. Listen to me carefully. Do not smoke tower. Although it might seem like a good idea at first, smoking tower will result in you essentially dividing your forces and helping the defenders. Holding down the bomb on B can be a tall task if not set up properly. In order to maximize success, you need to make sure crossfire is established between B main and arcade. This makes it so incoming defenders have to deal with the 50-50 angle when trying to cross the site. Next, you need to make sure that if you are playing in these positions, you have a plan to get the bomb if you need to defend it. For example, if you're playing from B main and the bomb is planted in the cubby, you might want to use the tunnel to rotate to the tower so you don't need to run out onto the site. Just keep in mind the tunnel is there if you need to make a rotation. Tower is a strong position to play from when dealing with post plant. However, make sure you have some sort of utility to aid in defending the bomb. Whether it be flashes, mollies, or stuns, using utility before you swing the bomb in that position will increase your chance of winning the aim duel tenfold. Fracture is an extremely unique map that will continue to have developing metas depending on future agents and changes. Hopefully, after looking into how pro players approach the map, you can see more success and even be more innovative in the meta. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next video.